So here's the thing. I never thought I'd be the guy who worried about his brain getting old. I'm only 42, not ancient, but last year something happened that rattled me. I was in a work meeting, nothing special, just the usual Monday morning corporate nonsense, and my boss asked me about a project timeline. Normally, I'm quick, sharp, ready with dates and numbers. But this time, nothing. My mind went blank. Completely. Like someone had just pulled the plug. The silence stretched on way too long. My boss stared at me. My coworkers looked uncomfortable. And all I could think was, is this it? Is my brain already slowing down? That moment hit me like a truck. I went home that night and sat in the dark, just replaying it in my head. I was angry. Angry at myself. Angry at time. Angry at whatever had made me stumble. I couldn't stop asking, what if this keeps happening? What if I'm not the sharp, reliable guy anymore? That was the day I decided I had to do something about it. When I got home that night, my wife noticed I was off. I told her what happened in the meeting, expecting some reassurance. You know, don't worry, babe, everyone forgets sometimes. But instead, she tilted her head and said, maybe your brain is just getting old. I laughed at first, thinking she was joking. She wasn't. She actually doubled down and said, you should probably start doing those Sudoku puzzles. Old people do them to stay sharp, right? That stung. It wasn't just the words. It was how casually she said them, like she was already seeing me as some forgetful, declining guy. I felt this weird mix of betrayal and fear. Like, was she really that quick to label me as slipping? That night, I lay in bed wide awake. Her words kept echoing in my head. I didn't want to be the old brain guy in my 40s. No way. So I made a decision. I was going to fight this. Hard. The next morning, I woke up early, made coffee, and told myself, okay, time to train this brain like it's a muscle. I downloaded 3 different brain training apps. Yeah, the ones with flashy ads promising better memory and focus. I spent hours playing their little games, matching shapes, remembering patterns, solving quick math problems. It felt kind of fun at first, like I was in some video game for grown-ups. But then reality smacked me in the face. At dinner that night, my wife asked me to grab the pepper from the pantry. Simple task. I walked in there, stood staring at the shelves, and completely forgot what I was looking for. Again, blank. When I came back empty-handed, she just raised an eyebrow. So, how's that brain training working out? She asked, with this smirk that cut deeper than she probably realized. I wanted to snap at her. Instead, I laughed it off, but inside, I was furious. I'd been trying so hard, and here I was, forgetting something as stupid as pepper. That's when the fear turned into determination. Fine. If apps don't work, I'll find something that does. A couple of days later, I was at the park, just jogging to clear my head, when this older guy, must have been in his late 70s, passed me. Passed me. Not just a light jog either. The man was running like he had rockets in his shoes. I was so shocked I actually stopped running. When he finally slowed down near a bench, I walked over, half curious, half annoyed at myself. I asked him, how the hell are you that fast at your age? He laughed, this deep, booming laugh, and said, kid, it's not just the body. It's the brain. Keep your brain young, the body follows. That line stuck in me like glue. We ended up talking for almost an hour. His name was Walter, a retired professor. He told me he runs marathons, learns a new language every 2 years, and even plays the violin. At 77. And then he looked me dead in the eye and said, most people let their brains rot because they stop challenging themselves. Don't do that. For the first time in weeks, I felt a spark of hope. Like maybe there was a path forward if I was willing to step outside my comfort zone. So that night, I made another decision. I was going to follow Walter's advice. That night, I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop open, staring at a blank search bar. Walter's words kept echoing in my head. Don't let your brain rot. So I typed, hardest language to learn for English speakers. The results popped up, Mandarin, Arabic, Japanese. I laughed nervously, but then something in me clicked. Screw it, I'll go big. I signed up for an online Mandarin course before I could talk myself out of it. When I told my wife, she looked at me like I'd lost my mind. Mandarin? Seriously? You can't even remember to grab pepper from the pantry. That hit me hard, but instead of backing down, it fueled me. I downloaded the lessons, bought a notebook, and dove in. The first few days were brutal. The tones twisted my brain into knots, and I kept writing characters backwards. But something strange happened. I noticed that while I was struggling with the language, my focus at work actually got sharper. I remembered deadlines, spoke up in meetings again, and even my boss commented, "You're on fire this week." It wasn't just about the language anymore. It was about proving to myself that I wasn't done, that my brain still had fight left in it. For a while, things felt good. Work was better, my confidence was creeping back, and I actually felt sharper. But at home? Whole different story. One night, I was practicing Mandarin on the couch, repeating tones into my phone's microphone. Mama, mama, over and over. My wife was trying to watch TV, and after about 10 minutes she snapped, "Can you not do that here? It's driving me insane." I paused, a little stunned. I'm trying to work on my brain, so I don't turn into some forgetful old man. She rolled her eyes and said, "You're obsessed." It's weird. That word, obsessed, hit me like a slap. Here I was, clawing my way out of this pit of fear and self-doubt, and she made it sound like some kind of sickness. I didn't say anything else, but inside I felt this storm of anger and hurt. I was doing this for me, for us, and she couldn't see it. That night, I slept in the guest room. Not because I had to, but because I wanted the space. It was the first time I realized this brain journey might cost me more than I expected. The tension at home kept building. I thought maybe it was just me being sensitive, but then something happened that knocked the wind out of me. One evening, I came home from work early. My wife didn't hear me come in, and I caught her on the phone with her sister. She was laughing, actually laughing, and said, "Yeah, he's going through this midlife crisis thing. He's learning Mandarin, running around like a wannabe genius. Honestly, it's pathetic." I froze in the hallway. Pathetic. That word cut deeper than anything she'd said to my face. She wasn't just annoyed. She was mocking me behind my back. I didn't confront her right then. I just walked back outside, sat in the car, and stared at the steering wheel for what felt like hours. I felt small, humiliated, betrayed. The one person I thought would support me saw me as a joke. That night, I didn't practice any Mandarin. I didn't touch my apps. I just lay there in bed, wondering if maybe she was right. Maybe I was pathetic. But somewhere, under all that pain, a little voice whispered, or maybe she's just wrong. The next morning, I woke up still stung by what I'd overheard. Every word replayed in my head. Pathetic, midlife crisis, wannabe genius. I almost gave up right then. I almost deleted the Mandarin app, shoved the notebook in a drawer, and let myself sink into the comfort of Netflix and beer. But then I remembered Walter, the 77-year-old rocket runner who told me not to let my brain rot. That memory snapped me out of it. I thought, why am I letting someone else decide if I'm pathetic or not? If I quit, I'm proving her right. If I keep going, at least I'll know I fought back. So I made a choice. I wasn't just going to keep learning. I was going to double down. Harder. More focused. Not for her. Not even for work. Just for me. That night, instead of practicing quietly in the living room, I signed up for a real online class with live teachers. No more half measures. For the first time in weeks, I felt something new, defiance. The online Mandarin classes were no joke. Real teachers, real assignments, and real pressure. I'd come home from work exhausted, scarf down dinner, and then spend 2 solid hours drilling tones and characters. At work, though, it was like someone flipped a switch in my brain. My memory got sharper. I could recall numbers, deadlines, even random client details. My boss noticed and asked, "What's gotten into you?" I just shrugged, but inside I felt proud, like I'd discovered a cheat code for my brain. At home, it was another story. My wife started complaining that I was never around, even though I was literally in the next room. She'd say things like, "You care more about Chinese than you care about me." And honestly, I didn't know how to answer that. The truth? She wasn't entirely wrong. My focus was shifting. For the first time in years, I felt alive, like I was growing, not shrinking. But instead of being happy for me, she looked at it as me pulling away. The more progress I made, the more distant we became. It scared me, but I couldn't stop, because stopping would mean going back to that empty, blank brain version of myself. And I'd rather risk everything than feel like that again. It happened on a Thursday night. I had just finished a tough online class, 2 hours of stumbling through Mandarin conversations with strangers. And I felt both drained and proud. When I came out of the office, my wife was sitting at the kitchen table with her arms crossed. She didn't even look up, just said, "We need to talk." You know that phrase. It's never good. She laid it all out. How she felt ignored, how I was escaping into my studies, how I was chasing some fantasy of staying young instead of being present with her. And then she said the part that broke me. "Honestly, I don't even recognize you anymore. I don't know if I want to." I stood there stunned. I tried to explain that this wasn't about escaping. It was about survival, about fighting to stay sharp, to feel alive. But she just shook her head. "You're obsessed. And I didn't sign up for this version of you." The anger and sadness crashed over me all at once. I wanted to scream, wanted to beg her to understand. Instead, I just said, "Then maybe you didn't sign up for me at all." And that was it. Silence. She walked away, and I sat there at the table, staring at my notebook full of Mandarin characters that suddenly felt like a wall between us. That night, I realized this fight for my brain was costing me my marriage. The next few days were brutal. Every conversation with her was strained, every glance loaded with tension. I kept asking myself, am I doing the right thing? Am I sacrificing too much? One evening, after yet another argument about my obsession, I finally made a choice. I wasn't going to stop learning, no matter what. I wasn't going to shrink back into the version of myself that sat in meetings forgetting project timelines. It was terrifying. I knew the path I was choosing might leave me alone. But I also knew something else. I couldn't betray myself just to keep someone else comfortable. So I doubled down on my routine: morning jogs, Mandarin lessons, Sudoku, reading challenging books. I even started taking violin lessons online, like Walter had suggested. Every day, my brain felt alive in ways it hadn't in years. It was lonely at times, yes. Painful. I missed the comfort of my old life. But for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was becoming me, not the version she wanted me to be. About a month later, something completely unexpected happened. I was at a work conference in another city, one of those boring events with endless speeches, when I ran into a colleague I hadn't seen in years. Let's call him Mark. Mark was always sharp, the kind of guy who could memorize every detail without trying. And for some reason, he decided to quiz me on random facts from a project we did 5 years ago. Normally, I'd have stumbled, forgotten half the details. But this time, I aced it. Every number, every client, every outcome. Mark's jaw literally dropped. "Wait, how do you remember all this?" I felt this rush, a mix of pride and vindication. Then I realized, all the stress, all the arguments, all the loneliness, it wasn't for nothing. My brain really was sharper. I was proving it to myself, even if nobody else understood why I fought so hard. That night, back in my hotel room, I thought about my wife, about the fights, about all the betrayal and judgment. And I realized something important. I couldn't control how anyone else saw me. I could only control what I did with my life. Over the next few weeks, I started noticing changes beyond just remembering facts. My focus at work was incredible. I finished projects faster, caught mistakes before anyone else did, and even got complimented by the CEO for a presentation I nailed. But the real payoff was personal. I started enjoying conversations more, noticing little details around me, even remembering birthdays and small favors from friends. My brain felt alive in ways I hadn't felt since my 20s. The best part? I wasn't just surviving, I was thriving. And that feeling? It was intoxicating. I realized that keeping your brain young isn't just about memory or solving puzzles. It's about challenging yourself, embracing discomfort, and refusing to settle for the easy path. Even my violin lessons were starting to click, and I could play a simple song from start to finish. Walter would have been proud. It hurt losing my wife, yes. But I wasn't broken, I was evolving. Sitting here now, reflecting on everything, I can see it clearly. This journey wasn't just about keeping my brain young. It was about resilience, self-respect, and reclaiming control over my own life. I learned that people, even those closest to you, can misunderstand your intentions, even betray your trust in subtle ways. That stings, but it doesn't define you. What defines you is what you do after that sting. I also learned that growth is uncomfortable. It demands sacrifice, persistence, and a willingness to face judgment. My brain didn't sharpen overnight, and my relationships didn't magically fix themselves. But I became more alive, more alert, more me. And most importantly, I realized that keeping your brain young isn't just about memory exercises. It's about embracing challenges, seeking new experiences, and refusing to let fear or judgment dictate your life. So here's what I'd say to anyone reading this. Don't wait until your brain slips to notice it. Don't let fear or judgment stop you from growing. Challenge yourself every day, learn new skills, push your limits, try things that scare you. Also, remember this. Not everyone will understand your journey, and some people, even those you love, might betray or judge you along the way. That sucks, it hurts, but it's not your fault. You can't control them. You can only control you. For me, keeping my brain young became a journey of self-discovery, resilience, and unexpected joy. I lost comfort, I lost a relationship, but I gained something far more valuable. Confidence in myself, and the knowledge that I'm still capable of growth, no matter my age. So go ahead, push yourself, stumble, get frustrated, fail even, but keep going. Your brain, your life, and your future self will thank you.